Good afternoon and welcome to WSABE 2014 webinar series presented by Champion Legal. Today our topic is Excellence in Marketing, and joining us today is Anthony Carroll, Director of Yellow Sneakers, and Luke Beaton, Director of Sailor Studio. Hello Luke, hello Anthony.
Hi, how are you?
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Anthony and Luke, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and your areas of specialty in the marketing field. Anthony, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'll go first, thank you. Basically, Yellow Sneakers concentrates on innovation and marketing, innovation being around the thinking processes that we need sometimes to generate ideas or innovation. That could be anything from design thinking to parallel and lateral thinking techniques. And then, of course, we move it through to the marketing. All ideas are great unless you actually execute on them and plan them. They go nowhere. So that's what we do. So we go end to end with idea and innovation creation, and then of course through to marketing them.
Fantastic. And over to you, Luke.
Well, I'm a graphic designer and a web developer. So I kind of work on the other end of the scale. Most of my work is on producing the marketing collateral and helping small, medium businesses come up with a marketing campaign and then producing the collateral that goes with that. And on the web side of things, of course, when we launch a website for a client, we end up running online marketing campaigns alongside the launch as well. So, yeah, really in producing the marketing collateral and then online marketing as well.
Fantastic. So today our agenda, we're going to have a quick look at the key dates and we'll go through our questions for excellence in marketing. So all the questions that are coming up in the applications which are now open, and we'll look at how you can get more inspiration and share some knowledge. The key dates, entries close June 26th. Entries have opened, so we hope that everybody's working very hard on getting that information into the judges by June 26th. And of course, I hope you've all got in your diary the Gala Awards night on August 22. So today, the first question up, explain the marketing activities undertaken by your organisation. So a fairly simple question, but explain how these activities are measured and evaluated. So obviously from what you've said, Anthony, it's a key part is being able to plan but then execute. Can you give successful examples of how some of your clients have been able to measure and evaluate their marketing activities?
Yeah, certainly. With the recent, well, not so recent, I mean, since probably 2000, we've had what we now call digital marketing. And great thing about digital marketing is that everything can be measured and evaluated. So from every click, every email, every web link that you send out can be tracked and measured. And it's a good way of understanding how people are engaging with your products or your services, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, so whether it's on a mobile, whether it's on a desktop PC, or even if it's a tablet. And of course, to complement this, you then can use offline strategies as well. So you can either do one or two things. You can drive people to a website or to a social media page, or vice versa. You can then drive them in-store or into your business, depending on from the digital, depending on what you're selling. So digital gives you a great way of measuring, through Google Analytics and plus a myriad of other platforms out there, and being able to measure and evaluate where your spend and time and of course resources is a great way to understand what's working and what's not working.
And Luke, so your area of expertise being in the online space with websites, etc., what are some of the most successful campaigns that you've seen out there in the marketplace?
I guess the most successful online marketing campaigns are ones that kind of work across a few different platforms. So not just kind of solely working on one platform, but they'll run ads out across a few different ad networks, of course through Google, and they'll integrate SEO, so search engine like organic results with paid results across Google, Bing, and a few other search networks. And then, if you integrate that with Facebook as well and things like Fairfax Network, that whole large campaign is what makes the whole thing successful. I guess on the smaller side of things, the most successful small business campaigns I've seen are campaigns that are highly targeted. So as Anthony touched on, with Google Analytics, you have a lot of results. You can measure and evaluate all the clicks that come through and how the user interacted on your website, what they did, and how or whether they made a connection or not. So on the small, small business side of things, the most successful campaigns are ones that really use those results. They change the campaign each month. They work out exactly who their clients are, exactly what they're doing on the website, and exactly what they're looking for, and then responding to that in the following month and just building upon that, over 6 months, over a year. And, the idea is to get it to a point where every dollar you spend converts to more dollars earned.
Right. So it really, even though we're talking all clicks and buttons and .coms, etc., it really still comes down to the people that you're servicing with your product or service, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Like, all that data relates back to, one individual person, and you can find out exactly what they're looking for, why they came to your site, and how you can best serve them next time they come, and how you can best convert them into a client. So you're absolutely right. Although it's all numbers and data, it really is, individual clients.
And what their interests are and the way they engage with your product. And of course, when we're talking about people, it really isn't just about the client, it's also about your staff. Because, I know here that our staff are the ambassadors for our business. So, Anthony, can you tell us a little bit more about, the way, some of the work that you've done helps the people in the business with their marketing? So not just the business owners who might be listening today, but how our business owners can engage their staff for the greater good of their marketing.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting because I just saw a quote earlier today where Angela Ahrens from Apple Retail, she's just been appointed the Vice President of Apple Retail across the world, and she said, everyone talks about building a relationship with your customer. I think you build one with your employees first. And I think that's pretty strong, because I think it becomes a flow-on effect. If your employees are engaged with the purpose and passion of the business, then it can only be positive towards customers. So once the customer comes in, the best thing that they're going to get is the service based on that passion and pride. Whereas if it was the reverse and they were disengaged with the message or the purpose of what they were doing, then the customer is going to see that in their everyday dealings with them. And so I think the most important thing to do is ensure that the employees, firstly, are on board with the idea of the vision, but then secondly, that they completely understand the process and also what it's all about. And I think once that happens, then the rest becomes a lot easier in terms of engaging your audience. Of course, Apple is also responsible for one of the probably most perfect ad campaign ever, which was the Think Different campaign, where not only did it speak to the customers and the world, and everyone quotes it to this day, I'm talking about here's to the crazy ones, that actually was targeted at the employees first. And then it was rolled out as an ad campaign. But what it was designed to do was to re-galvanize the mindsets and hearts of the employees, because at the time, Apple was basically, from historically speaking, 90 days away from bankruptcy. And what Steve Jobs had to do was win over the teams that were in Apple and come up with some way of reinvigorating their passion and their pride in their work, and also engaging them in the vision that he had set out. And the crazy ones, originally with him talking as the voiceover, and then later on Richard Dreyfuss, basically was talking at and aimed at the employees to get them on board with the vision and say, you guys are the reason why we exist. So I think, yeah, absolutely. I think marketing, we tend to look out at customers, as Angela puts it, but we forget about the employees within. And I think they're the linchpin to making everything work.
And of course, then in measuring and evaluating how we're going with our clients and our staff, there's some great online tools these days, such as SurveyMonkey and various polls you can put together on a tool such as Yammer or on Facebook, a closed group perhaps for your staff. So there is lots of different ways of measuring and evaluating. Have you got anything to add to, what sort of tools that you've used in the past, Luke, or that you've seen out there that work really well for businesses in measuring their engagement with their staff and clients?
Yeah, I think that some of the best tools are really just the most well-known ones. So I think Google Analytics and like the ones you mentioned, like the SurveyMonkey and things like that. I think the key is really knowing how to use those tools. So a lot of people will use Google Analytics and they'll really just kind of check it once a month or once every few months and just kind of see the data and leave it at that. I think the key is to really understand what those tools are and how much power they have, and really understand what they're telling you and make changes as a result of that data. So I think that the best tools are really the tools that you probably already have working on your site. The key is to just use them really as effectively as you can and truly understand what they're capable of.
It'll be interesting to see the winner in Excellence in Marketing for 2014, and I wonder what tools they've used to measure and evaluate, and if they're using things like, you say, Google Analytics to the best of their behaviour. It'll be interesting. Okay, provide your marketing plan outline. So, one of the things that I researched in or reminded myself of from uni days was, the various Ps, the product, the place, the price, the promotion, the people, the process. All of these are important Ps in marketing, which I'm sure will formulate this question. But then we're asking for particular examples. So most successful marketing activity, how it was implemented, measured, and what forward plans are in place as a result. I'm sure you both have some great examples of activities that you might have been briefed on or a job you've been briefed on that, the client had one expectation and then based upon the implementation and the measurement that the forward plans have totally changed. What surprises have you learnt in your marketing journey?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about social media as such is that it's either been classified into two categories, and it's either the panacea of marketing or it's the leper of marketing. And I think it's interesting because the 4 Ps that you talked about, or 7 Ps, depending on if you're in service marketing or business to business, what we've failed to realise is that social media is just another place for your promotion to be. So, thinking about the 4 Ps, and of course thinking about the customer and understanding where you're going to engage them. I think these days we've got a better grasp on how social media fits in. It's not the panacea. It's also not the leper either. It's not going to fix everything. It's not going to be the only place that people connect. And I think that we always with marketing have to come back to the very essence, which is it's about the customer. So where is the customer most likely going to engage with your brand or business? And then once you've worked that out, then that's where you start to, give them the experience that they need. I think these days it's around 3 to 5 different screens, as they call it. So you're looking at tablet, mobile, computer, TV, whereas Google also now talks about having 10 touch points for a customer just to consider your brand, not even to necessarily make the purchase, just to consider your brand takes around about 10 touch points. So I think it's important that we stick with the basics, and the key there is understanding your customer inside and out.
And Luke, in the social media space. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to add to that. Yeah, in the social media space, in talking about having plans and then responding to that plan, I think a great example of that is you might remember the Old Spice marketing campaign. I guess they had a plan originally just to release a TVC and release that online. But as the TVC went viral, the plan had to change very, very quickly. They saw an opportunity they could build on the existing campaign and take the plan so much further. And the fact that they were able to do that so quickly, within 24 hours of the campaign going viral, they could turn a small campaign into something that really was one of the best campaigns we've seen online in the past 15 years. It's just been it was quite amazing. And I think the key to that was that although they had a plan, the key was to be able to respond to what happened and change the plan as needed.
So being flexible or being agile in your approach to your marketing, while it might seem contradictory, is actually a great plan to have in place, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
A bit different for maybe some of these older brands or people who have been in business for a long time. Have you got any advice for those people who haven't been in business for, more than 10 years and the world has changed? What advice can you give them in approaching their marketing with this in this brave new world?
I think is to remember is it's easy to think you understand who your clients are. Most people would have a good idea of who their clients are, but I guess the idea is to be open to the data that you receive back, particularly online, to understand who the clients are that you might not know about. So they might be coming from suburbs that you're not aware of. They might be of a demographic you're not aware of. And these are things that people are finding out by seeing so much data, because you're actually seeing a lot more. You're seeing actual suburbs that people live in. You're seeing the ages. You're seeing the kind of technology they're using and things like that. So I guess my advice for someone who is using, more traditional marketing techniques would be to really look at the data and understand, don't just come into it thinking you already have an idea of what the data will be. I think to really look at it and really try and understand it.
I went to a Telstra Experience event yesterday. It was business transformation, and one of the key messages that they discussed was this idea of the transaction. So traditionally, a lot of people thinking I service my client and I sell them product A. And when in fact they start analysing the data, they see so many more opportunities to grow their business, i.e., like you're saying, they find out the suburb and then that they can add on, various products and services for the client. Have you got any examples of clients, either of you, that have been able to grow their businesses in ways that they would not have expected if they hadn't have analysed things like data?
I did some marketing previously for a TV show from the UK, and although the TV show is really a kids show, the data shows them that because the show is quite long running, the data showed them that the main audience is actually much older, and so as a result of that data, they're able to market the material to an older audience. Although it kind of seems strange because it is a kids show, they can run events and things that are marketed towards a much older audience. And I feel like if they didn't have that data and they didn't do that research, they still would be marketing this show to an audience that was far younger than what was actually watching it. And the beauty of that is they actually worked out that people are watching this show with their children, so they can market it towards the parents as well, who are fans of the show themselves.
Well, I know that I've got a few songs from Yo Gabba Gabba on my iPhone, and I listen to them regularly. So, yeah, it's a great example of how one item might reach across many generations. They've made a bit of coin out of me, that's for sure. Any closing remarks?
Michelle,
category?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say. I think the key to marketing isn't always to be flexible and agile. I think again we come back to the customer and listening to what they're doing and observing and understanding their behaviour. I think that's paramount to all good marketing. There's been, if you were to talk to any startups lately, the successful ones and the unsuccessful ones, they all use that lean or agile marketing approach, and it's that feedback loop. So they'll build, test, measure, and they'll adjust accordingly. the one that sticks in my mind recently was it was called Friend Endorse, and what they did was it was about asking a question through social media, so wanting to know, how best pest controllers or exterminators. What they found was that what would be obvious would be, okay, does anyone know a good pest controller? That would be the most logical question you would think that was going to be asked. But instead, what they found was that the question was actually, how do you get rid of these damn cockroaches? And that in itself is telling, because the word pest controller is not mentioned anywhere in there. So if you were to start to tag those words or use them as keywords, it would never come up. Yet there's the question still being asked, but in a different way. So in order for, I think anyone these days, when they're online, is to just, again, listen to the customer, understand what their behaviours are, and then just adjust accordingly. And you'll get more traction that way.
So really the key message that I've gotten from both of you this afternoon is that regardless of your business, the key really is, as a business owner, understanding your clients and your staff and engaging them to meet their needs. So whether it be, yes, searching for how do I get rid of the cockroaches, or creating something funny like the Old Spice campaign to draw them back to an old tired brand. It really is about thinking outside yourself and looking at what they are interested in and what they are doing and where they are. Would you agree,
Yeah,
Luke?
absolutely. And yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Anthony, you were going to say something, then I cut you off.
Sorry, that's okay. I was going to say absolutely. And remembering back to the Old Spice, the interesting thing about that is that even though it's a men's deodorant, it was actually aimed at the female market, hence why the half-naked ex-footballer riding a horse. Because what they found, again, they understood that men don't necessarily, in the US at least, don't necessarily buy their deodorant. It's the women who buy it. They're the main grocery buyer. And so in order to get cut through and also to market share, they created the ad campaign to target towards them. So when they went to the supermarket, there was obviously point of sale collateral to remind them. So it was an interesting campaign in that perspective. It wasn't actually aimed at men, it was actually aimed at women. And if you contrast that with Lynx, who do aim at men specifically and basically say if you wear Lynx, you'll get more women, as sexist and chauvinist as that may sound, the point is at the end of the day, you can see the clear difference in understanding the target market.
Mm-hmm. Luke, do you have any closing remarks about excellence in marketing?
No. I think what Anthony said then really tied it up nicely. It's really understanding who you're actually targeting at is so important. Like you said with the Old Spice, that is actually marketed towards the women, and again that comes from research and data to show them that. I think that ties it up nicely.
Excellent. Okay, well thank you both for joining us today. Just to remind people.
Well, my pleasure.
Oh. The benefits of entering. I mean, have you both entered awards in your career? Anthony?
I haven't personally entered any awards, but yeah, I've definitely worked in agencies that have entered awards at the end of the year. I'm not too sure on the results though, but there's been a few big campaigns that have gone on to be entered into awards. Yeah.
I guess one thing that we haven't really touched on in this webinar series is the creativity that can go into these entrants as well, and that ability to free your mind and really focus on your business. I guess that is one of the key messages of WSABE though. Give yourself the time to look at your business, analyze it. And perhaps even though we're asking for examples, it really is a great opportunity to forward plan and think about the year ahead and how they can use, say, the data that they've been looking at, and maybe each year measuring against their WSABE entrants, for example. Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Luke earlier, the key to marketing, or the essence of marketing, really is about reach and frequency. And the more people you can reach with your brand message, the better. And of course, the more frequently you can reach them, even better. Because it's based on how many times are they going to be able to see your brand in front of them. And if there's been lots of stories now recently about Facebook where, they only allow you to, if you've got a business Facebook page set up, only allow you to reach around about 1 to 2% of your reach. You might have 100 people liking your page, but you might only reach 10 or 20 of them at a time. And so, because they understand implicitly that the most important part about marketing is reach. How many can you reach at any one time? And once you start to be able to reach them and frequently, then you start to measure their responses. So did they engage? Did they click? Did they forward? Did they share? Did they buy? All of these things should be evaluated, and you've got to plan out different activities throughout the year. So it's vital that you have a marketing plan and at least reach your target audience at least once a month. Obviously, the more frequently you can do it, but at least once a month. And that could be through any platform, online or offline.
So perhaps using the WSABE Awards on an annual basis as an opportunity to reflect and forward plan is a great opportunity for our listeners out there. And then that repeated follow-through. So, of course, all the entrants becoming finalists, promoting the fact that they're finalists, and, engaging with their clientele, getting their staff excited, and then, of course, the winners, and using that throughout the year in the lead up to the next year's WSABE Awards. So what a great opportunity for all the listeners out there who are either interested or have actually put their entry in. It's a very exciting time in the lead up to our closing date on 26th. So your entry, that's what we've been discussing today. It's fantastic. So I hope everybody's enjoyed listening to Anthony and Luke today and feels a bit more inspired about getting back into their Excellence in Marketing entry. And don't forget that you can usually meet us on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. for our Champion Legal WSABE webinar series, but they're all recorded, so if there's any issues with timing, I hope you're listening to it at a time that's convenient to you. And of course, there's our closed WSABE support forum, so a private group just for people who are expressing an interest in joining. If you've shared this today and received it from a friend and you haven't registered your interest, please make sure you visit the Parramatta Chamber of Commerce website and express your interest by completing the form, or go straight ahead to entering your award. Thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you for our next week's topic, which is Excellence in Finance. Thank you.